Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Sebastian Fundora, the towering Inferno, all 6'6", super welterweight. Enormous man. I mean, in terms of dimensions, absolutely freakish. He defended his WBC Interim super welterweight title, whatever that means. An interim champion. Oh, yeah. Anyway. And he defended it against Carlos Ocampo, decent contender. Ocampo came into the fight with a 34 wins and 1 defeat record, and the defeat was in 1 round to Errol Spence Jr., who just got wiped out, caught early and wiped out. Okay, that can happen. Since then, he's rebuilt and earned himself a shot at a good guy, a top guy. He's only 26, Ocampo, and his opposition during that comeback hasn't been great, but hasn't been absolutely feeble either. So he belonged in the ring with Fundora, who we last saw winning this interim title against Erickson Lubin. And Fundora is like I say, enormously tall and a southpaw, so you're going to have problems with him. And against Erickson Lubin, he was boxing Lubin at long range, beating him up, floored him. Lubin's face was just a chopped meat, and then Lubin in that fight, almost like, he said to himself, I know I'm losing, I've got to just let it all hang out. And he did, and he just tore after Fundora and really put it on him and knocked him down. And you thought, wow, what? But he just basically just emptied the tank. He gambled everything. He put Fundora on the floor. I think smashed up his face a little bit. He didn't come out of it unscathed, but he emptied the tank and he couldn't finish him and ended up retiring after 9 rounds. But that was an interesting fight because it showed that if you do put the heat on Fundora, he's going to feel it. And okay, it's a gamble to adopt that tactic. It's always a gamble if you're going to let it all hang out, like what Anthony Yarde did against Kovalev. Empty the tank, to the Ajayi, telling him, just go for it. You got him so hurt. And of course, he couldn't do the 12 afterwards, could do the 12 rounds. But so you could argue that Ocampo's best bet was to jump on Fundora early, and he didn't do that. The first 2 rounds I definitely gave to Fundora. I thought not that he did anything great. I just thought he won them by, that tall, incredibly tall, long southpaw jab, just controlled Ocampo. And then Ocampo seemed to say, okay, enough of this. I've got to get moving. I've got to get my skates on. And he started to move quicker towards Fundora. Now, sometimes when you quicken your feet, you can actually intimidate a fighter with your feet, because if you move in quickly and suddenly you're not the slow guy who was there in the first few rounds, the guy can feel, whoa, he's moving in quick. I've got to adjust my style, my tactics, and you can actually get a guy's attention without even throwing a punch, just by using your feet, just by getting in close and threatening to impose yourself. And there was an element of that because Fundora seemed to sort of abandon the long range tactics and started fighting on the inside. And for a man that tall, that's quite surprising. There have been really tall fighters who love fighting on the inside. I mean, Diego Corrales was one of them. He's very tall for his weight and liked a good inside fight. Riddick Bowe, the heavyweight, was very, very good on the inside. Taught by Eddie Futch and obviously taught very well. Very, very good inside fighter. You look at his fights with Holyfield. I mean, Holyfield was no slouch himself at inside fighting, and quite dirty with it. But Bowe was matching him, even though he was the bigger man. It was mildly surprising that a guy of that height and range would choose to fight up close. But Fundora seems to enjoy doing that. And the thing is, he's not bad at it. But I thought Ocampo was winning rounds ever so slightly just by being a little bit busier. Although Fundora, you could argue, was the cleaner puncher. Fundora, I had it 2 rounds each after 4, because I gave 3 and 4 to Ocampo. And then these were really close rounds, very difficult to score, I thought. From up till about rounds 9, I thought Fundora was definitely doing the better work, the cleaner work. But at the same time, Ocampo, although a little bit more ragged, was up close, landing punches. Occasionally he would land a very big punch that had no effect on Fundora. Fundora just took it and carried on punching. And Fundora, he does like to fight upright, which isn't really surprising. But even when he bends down, of course, he's still a tall figure because he is so damn tall, 6'6". Even if you bend down and fight small, quote unquote, you're still big. If you see what I mean, you know, he's still got those dimensions. So Ocampo was constantly having to punch up. There were some body punches being thrown by both guys. I would like to have seen Ocampo go to the body more. He's got 22 knockouts in 34 wins, so he's got a bit of a pop, you know. And like a typical Mexican, he's got a lot of guts, a lot of heart, and you know, Fundora. I thought his work was cleaner, and I thought the more the fight went on, Ocampo was becoming more ragged, a little bit more. Desperate's the wrong word, but there was a little bit more urgency to what he was doing, and he was lacking a bit of power. I thought Fundora, for a guy that tall and thin, actually showed a pretty good engine, as he did against Erickson Lubin. Ocampo seemed to be sagging just a little bit, and as a result, despite this is how close the rounds were, I still gave Ocampo 5 rounds. I did 7 rounds to 5, 115, 113 to Fundora. Now, the cards themselves were 117, 111. Okay, so to Fundora. They were all, this was a unanimous decision to Fundora. 117, 111. Okay, close rounds. Sometimes, you know, you can lose very, very close rounds, but too many of them, and then the statistical totting up at the end looks dodgy. But you know, it doesn't reflect the real grit that was needed in the fight. But the other two cards, 118, 110 and 119, 109, I just thought they were bizarre. I don't see how. I mean, okay, if you gave every single very close round to Fundora, maybe you can come up with a 10-2 card or whatever it was, an 11-1 card. I mean, but I thought it was that those cards were very unfair on Ocampo. I thought Ocampo, yeah, I mean, 116, 112, well, even 117, 111, I wouldn't bitch about too much. Like I said, at 115, 130. Maybe if I scored again, I'd have it wider for Fundora. I don't know. But it was that type of fight where it's kind of like, what do you like? I mean, there's a lot of infighting, a lot of up-close fighting, which, again, quite surprising. Fundora likes to get down in the trenches. And he did it. He pulled it off against Lubin, stopped him in 9. He pulled it off against Ocampo, unanimous decision. But I do wonder if he really needs to get back to that. Maybe he's a southpaw as well, to get back to that long-range southpaw boxing. Having said that, when he is boxing long range, he has been caught by Lubin and Ocampo with big overhand rights. He is a little bit vulnerable to that punch. I don't know. I mean, I like Ocampo did well, and he seems like a legit contender. No argument there. Fundora, where's he going? I think he's good, but I think the jury is slightly out at top level, absolute top level. But he's only 24, so let's give him a chance. I mean, he's going to fill out inevitably. I mean, there'll always be a stick insect, but with those octopus arms and legs. But at the same time, he's not the bad fighter by any stretch of the imagination. He's very good. But I just wonder how far up the ladder he can go. Can he become one of those A or A plus fighters? At the moment, I'd say he's sort of between B and B plus. But like I say, 24 years old, still learning on the job, although he's got one of those, interim belts. Be interesting to see who he fights next. But I'll be keeping an eye on his career. I've enjoyed it so far. He's not, perhaps, I don't know, maybe all that up-close fighting is because he wants to be more exciting to the fans, which is understandable. But, yeah, I don't know whether he'll come a cropper against the right guy. We'll see. Anyway, did you see the fight? What do you think of it? Leave your comments below. As always, please subscribe to the channel if you're new, pretty please, with sugar on top. Hit the like button, that helps the channel as well. And I will speak to you again soon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and bye for now.